is my passion to help shine the spotlight on business owners' expertise. And today I'm continuing a series of interviews with a group of co-authors from a powerful new book called Teach Your Expertise, which has just been released on Amazon. Now, the authors will be sharing their stories on how they discovered the power of teaching what they know by creating an online course. Today's guest is Jan Luther. Jan has been referred to as the healer's healer and coach's coach. For over 20 years, she has supported thousands of entrepreneurs, business owners, healers, and coaches when they have needed mindset, emotional, business, and spiritual coaching and support. One of 9 U.S. EFT master practitioners, Jan employs simple tools coupled with timeless wisdom to liberate her clients from their inner bully, the ego. Jan is the author of Grief is Morning Sickness and the co-author of Teach Your Expertise, plus the creator of multiple programs at the Ego Tamer Academy. Jan is inspired and dedicated to serving conscious professionals in their quest to uplift, transform, and empower others to their highest potential and greatest happiness. Welcome, Jan.
Hello, Virginia. Thank you for doing this. I'm so excited to be able to meet with you again. You're doing so much for everybody. I'm hoping this is blessing you as much as it is your audience, I'm sure, all these wonderful interviews. We
Oh,
appreciate
thanks, Jan.
it.
Yeah, this is to me, and you know me, an inspiration. This to me is an inspirational series, and I was happy to do it and interview so many of you who have really been shining your own passion to the world and have discovered how to do this with a way that monetizes your expertise and transforms the lives of so many others by teaching what you know in the form of an online course. So I'm thrilled to have you here today to share a little bit about your own experience. But before we start with that and the course, I'd really like just a little background, Jan, a defining moment perhaps that sort of led you down the path to be doing what you're doing today, which is, becoming one of 9 master EFT practitioners. And then, what I understand about it is tweaking it to make it very much your own formula. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know about your listeners, and I know for those of us who are in business, and as you'll read in the book, life shows up and it isn't always pleasant. It isn't always the things we want it to be. But when these hard things happen, if we have the tools to be able to kind of find the gold nuggets under the rubble, so to speak, we're able to then take what we've learned and the fires that we've been through to refine us in our character, help us to literally like shine a light to the people who are coming behind us. And to me, that's really what happened is I had had a lot of childhood trauma. I was like almost agoraphobic at points in my life. I had a lot of physical pain and I knew there had to be a solution for it because I'm a person of great faith. But everything that I tried kind of fell flat until I found tapping. And once I found tapping and I started realizing that the beauty of it is you can't just talk about it and feel better. And you can't just try to make yourself feel better and have your mindset change. And then there's the spiritual component. So for me, creating a program based on the foundational tapping, where all of those 3 things are really centered on spirituality, was a game changer. Because once we tune into what our faith is and we draw upon the power that created us, totally miracles happen. I had one of my clients after 2 sessions say, you know what, you should just brand yourself as the 60-minute miracle worker, because I started out over here in grief and trauma and anger. And then I, within 60 minutes, was like having a whole new viewpoint and feeling full of spirit. And so that's how I got into the tapping and creating my own version of which we call the ego taming tapping.
Ego taming tapping. I love the alliteration, first of all. But I think what you're talking about here is not something that's visited very often, especially maybe in the entrepreneurial world, and that is around the ego. And yet, what you're talking about, if I understand you correctly, is that you've got to tame the ego to move past old, outmoded response patterns and start to respond from your current knowledge and information. Am I on with that?
You are spot on, because for most of us, especially as women, we are taught that we have a certain role in a box that we fit in. And there's all kinds of layers of indoctrination, shall we say, and mostly well-intentioned. Here's how you survive in society, and this is how we do it, whatever. But the difference is once we start recognizing that we've adopted, inherited, sometimes cellularly taken on these beliefs that are holding us back, and we start looking at them and really exploring, not only mentally, physically, but also on a spiritual level, does that really sound true? And is that where I want to be? Once we start taking those out, I call it our book of rules. We start rewriting our rules about what's possible and what our creator wants for us. That's when miracles really happen. So you're right on.
I love that. Rewriting our book of rules. Yeah, because some of those rules just don't work, do they? Either short term or long term.
Yeah, they master us. And that's, to me, the flip that we want to make is once we tame, and when I say ego, I'm talking about your inner critic, the voice of the flesh, monkey mind. It's programming, and it's programming in our flesh and in our mind bank. And the problem is if we don't get it, that's when depression, that's when we have health issues. To me, there's only one solution to every problem, and it's combining the spiritual aspect of changing the mind.
Changing the mind from a spiritual aspect. I love that. Well, I'm thinking also that the work that you really do, and as the one client said, you're the 60-minute miracle worker. I know that was a one-to-one working process. And yet now you have figured out how to leverage your expertise and the transformations that you make with people through online courses. And this is brilliant because you only have so many hours in the day, right?
Right.
And so you can only impact so many people in and of yourself. So I know part of what you do is train others, but I'd love to know a little bit more about your online program, how you were inspired to create that, and tell people a little bit about it and what the benefit could be to them if they were to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. One of the things that you talked about was I kind of fell into being a healer's healer and a coach's coach, because one day when I was working with a business coach and they were saying, so who do you serve? And I'm talking about all these people and they go, well, what do they do? And what do they do? And what do they do? And I went, well, she's a $1 million coach and she works with executive whatever. And the coach was going like, I'm like, what? These are just really cool people. I don't think of them as the service role they were having until I started realizing these are healers coming to me who need their healing, who can't get out of their own way, who have their own ego stuff. Mindset coaches happens all the time. And I just wasn't even realizing that, holy cow, this process of being able to do the ego tamer tapping not only helps that person, but the people that she's working with, because they're going to run up against the same blocks, the same fears, the same challenges. So shoot, that just lit this passion in me I want to empower everybody to be their own practitioner and every coach to have this tool in their bag, because there's nothing more frustrating than running around the mountain with one client who you just can't get them to change their mind or feel different or see it any differently, the reframe that we talk about. But boy, once you have a sample of how easy it is when you have the right tool and you see them light up because there is a countenance change, because the spirit then comes forth where all that darkness and heaviness was. So that's when I really got inspired. So I started teaching differently. I started teaching my practitioners who were business owners with the intention of empowering them to liberate their people and teach them to be practitioners for themselves. And that's when things really took off. And the problem was, now I've got 200 students that have gone through in a course of a year and a half. And one day I realized I've answered this question before. 13 people have asked me the same question in one formula or another, and I need to figure out a solution. And wasn't very bright. It took a light bulb moment when you go, if I started like creating some programs where I could teach the answer to that and teach the answer to that. So I was a little slow on the uptake, but I finally got it.
Well, I think that that's something that many entrepreneurs come to the realization of. If there is something that you're repeating over and over and over again to individuals, how can you wrap that up into some kind of training that can get out there and make a bigger impact for them, and then prepare them for going deeper with you when you do the one-to-one work, because you've got all that foundational stuff out of the way, right?
Well, and the beauty is, girl, is once you start doing that, and especially with the trainings that we've gone through with Alina Vincent, is you start recognizing I might be teaching over some of their head, or I might be leaving pieces out that they really need. And following the instructions that we've been receiving from Alina, our coach who helped us get this book together, I have been able to literally start going, oh, I need to add this little piece because only 3 people asked that, but everybody needs to know. Or, you know what, I think I could start leveling them up a little bit faster, because if they get all the foundational pieces and then I give them practice opportunities, they start becoming it, right? As they embody the knowledge, instead of it being something they've learned, they're now doers of the words, so to speak. That's when lightning starts striking, and it's like, kaboom, look at this testimonial from that student, and bam, look at this one. I have one right now, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of her, who has been a healer for years and is now adding tapping to her program, and is literally having people show pictures of before and after of physical ailments gone.
Wow.
Right?
How satisfying. Good grief. That's why you do what you do. And that's why you're good at what you do. Well, okay, let's get into a little bit of the nitty-gritty for people who might be thinking about, maybe I should do an online course. Did you go through any struggles or challenges in the process of trying to put this together and get it out there?
Somebody gave me the name for it, is they said, you're really a boutique coach. You really love the one-on-one. I'm such a feeler, and I'm so passionate about really helping people, that there was a lot of that kind of belief that I had to work through of, well, it's just not going to work. I talk about it in the book, in my chapter of, I had to really kind of talk myself through the idea of, well, you get a whole bunch of people, they're not going to have the same experience as if it was just you and me. And I realized that was mostly about me missing out on the experience, right? But when I started, the feedback just became really amazing. Of it was like, hey, you know what? I was able to stop that and run that video back and go, oh, that's what she meant when she said that 3 weeks ago, whatever. So that was the first thing. It was like, okay, instead of talking over their head, now they're able to replay, to listen, to meditate on, of course, ask me more questions. But that was the first thing. And the second thing was when I had one dear student come back in one of the sessions, and she was almost in tears. She goes, I was resistant to this. I kind of like working with you one-on-one too. But once I started focusing on what you were saying, I felt like I had you all to myself, and it was 2 a.m. Girl, I ain't coming to your house at 2 a.m.
That's perfect. Get the fix you need any time of the day or night, even while I'm sleeping.
That's exactly right. Oh, that cracks me up. But I'm like, that's the beauty, is because scheduling nowadays, we all know our schedules are so full. So that was the other huge benefit, is I can post this. They have 30 days to go through the 4 courses each month. And I have peer work that they do together as well. So they're practicing and applying together. And then when I come on the live call that we do once a month, which now it only takes 1 call, right? It's all of that wonderful information. And here's what you practice, and here's your assignment, right? As I treat it's a course. They're getting some training on that live call. Oh, it's so juicy, because then we literally tick down the list of, here's what we studied. What are your questions? What are the problems? Let's tap and clear that. Or praying over them, right? Sometimes there's just like a little demon block that let's get that out of there. That's not useful for you. Then it starts being really fun, because I can see my energy is higher, my bandwidth, right? We all have our limitations. And then I'm able to do other things for other people instead of all being just this one group.
Yeah. Oh, such great information, Jan. Thank you for sharing this. And we would love to hear from the viewers and what kind of feedback you have to this. Any questions you have, please be sure to share them with us, and we'll be sure to get back to you. Now, don't give the whole chapter away, but maybe just one little tip that you can share with our viewers that you wrote about in your chapter.
Absolutely. I tell my story, and I'm one of those that is like, oh, this is so boring. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to know whatever. But what I really am doing in my chapter is I'm showing them that we all have an ego, right? I sometimes joke that ego stands for everybody got one. And I showed them how I talked myself through it. And then there are a couple places where I'm doing that for them. And I actually have the whole tapping script. I've never done that in a big public book like this before, where I actually am showing them how to tap right through some of these blocks and resistances. But I think maybe the one that might be most helpful for everyone is to recognize that you're probably already doing some form of a program or a system right now. And once we can connect the dots between, well, my intake form is kind of a program because everybody goes through the same steps.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kinds of, I give 2 or 3 examples of like that, where people can start saying, it doesn't have to be such a big darn deal because I'm probably doing something like it already. I just need to expand it, make it a little, flesh it out a little bit, give a little more detail. And I know you're guilty of this too, Virginia, as I want to give you everything.
Right.
We have to kind of tone it down a little bit and go, don't fire hose them. We have to give them little bites so they can digest. And so that would probably be the first one is whoever's listening, if you're thinking about putting together a group or a program like this, or even a class, you're probably already doing a lot of similar program creation in just a different format that you wouldn't think of as a program.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that, because that's really how I started to formulate my own program, Go Live Leveraged. And it was because I'd been doing this work in my own broadcasting and the Inspirational Businesswoman show, of which you were a wonderful guest a few months back. And I realized I already had a system. Had been doing it for years. So it was just a matter of translating that into a large group consumable format. And yeah, it doesn't have to be quite as scary and intimidating as we might think it is. Plus, you can sell it before you completely create it. Don't you love that idea?
And you know what, honey? I am learning, like right now I'm doing a program on prayer, and I wrote out a template for the script, and I wrote really deeply on day 1 what I wanted, and I thought, you're going to change it. It's based on what happens day 1, and the feedback you get day 2 is not going to be exactly what you think. So just lighten up.
Yeah,
it's really true. And then it becomes a living organism. Then it's legitimate and real in that real time of the feedback you're getting makes it spot on to what they need.
Yeah, the feedback is so powerful, isn't it? Yeah, you want to absolutely position yourself to take advantage of that and be flexible. So great tips. Well, listen, you also have something very special included in your chapter, so that it's so much more inviting to make sure that you go get the book, which this week you can get Teach Your Expertise for just 99 cents. I'll show you where in just a moment. But tell them a little bit about your gift and why just for that alone they're going to want to go grab this book this week for 99 cents. Oh, and before you do that, let me bring it up because I made an image for it, so let's see it.
Gotta use that.
Yay! Her gift is called Erase Your Resistance to Marketing Your Business. How powerful. Go ahead, Jen, tell them about it.
Absolutely. I thought about just putting together a little audio, or gosh, I have tons of things that I could have put into tapping scripts or whatever, but I have this little program that I had done before with a group. It's a $500 program that I had a group of marketers come in, and we literally took 6 or 8 of their common resistances to marketing. People won't want what I have to sell, or who am I to ask for this much money, or very common stuff that ego's going to bring up, and it will just put on the brakes. It is like an emergency brake that keeps you from making the phone call, from reaching out to do the speaking engagement, from writing your book chapter, whatever it might be. Yeah. So I actually tweaked all that, took out anything that was personal, took out anything, and got their permission. Please understand, I never would have done it without permission. But my favorite one, and you got to go get it to get the whole thing, but the lady actually went from, in like 14 or 15 minutes, she went from, I think I'm charging too much, nobody's going to want this, to, I'm not asking for enough money. the brilliance of being able to shift that, hello, what's that word, right? The value of being able to come out of that mindset and feel like not only am I worthy, and not only is my passion and my why enough to drive me, but when we start focusing on who we're doing it for instead of ourselves, spoiler alert, that's what they're all about, right?
Yeah.
So it's a whole program, and it is a $500 value. And then I also added a sixth layer, which is people don't really know how to start a conversation with strangers. And so I actually pulled something right out of the Ego Tamer Academy Tapping mentoring program, the program that I'm talking about that I started creating like 10 years ago. And it literally is the formula that I use, and I teach every one of my practitioners on how to gently, kindly, respectfully start a conversation with a stranger, which we don't have to do very often right now because of COVID, but having the knowledge of how to formulate a question so that the ego has a template, and like we're talking about with classes, right? The ego knows where to go, and it's all about relationships. And I drill that this is really about creating a new friend, because once you have a new friend, whether you're the right servant for them or not, that doesn't matter anymore. This is a person who you can collaborate on some level, and everybody gets blessed.
Oh, how beautiful. And to think of it that way, that's just reframing the whole idea that you're having a sales conversation too. I'm having a conversation and building a relationship with a new friend. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And your program that you're offering as a gift sounds amazing as well. So I hope that you'll all take advantage of that. Now, again, if you want to pick up this new book, we're so excited to let you know about it. You can get it on Amazon for 99 cents this week, and there's also some bonuses worth over $1,000 that you'll be able to take advantage of. And all you need to do, actually, I will have the link right in the description. You could just click on that link and it'll take you right there and show you how to collect those extra bonuses if you go ahead and purchase this week. So Jan, tell us just a little bit about what you think is the most valuable reason people should go ahead and pick up this book.
Oh, girl, inspiration. Right now, our world is in such chaos, and especially as business owners, it's really easy to get discouraged and lose sight of your goal and your why. Honey, when I finished reading this book yesterday, there was a couple times that I was almost in tears, because when you see, I mean, these are powerhouse women, every single one, lawyers, and I mean, the places, $1 million corporations and Wall Street and hypnotherapists and amazing, amazing, powerful women who are bringing their gifts into a new venue of serving the world in a way that you can do. So to me, the number one reason is, even if you're not a business owner, even if you don't plan on being a business owner, you're a leader. You're a leader in your family, you're a leader in your community, and there's more for you to do here. But because of everything that's been going on, it's so easy to get our energy depleted and to have that ego really start roaring with all of the things that we need to be afraid of. This is courage in a book. So anyone will be blessed by it.
I love that. Courage in a book. Yes. And a good fix at that. Oh, thank you so much, Jan, for taking the time and bringing your energy and your enthusiasm and your wisdom and your knowledge to all of us here today and sharing your experience. We really appreciate it. And any final words you want to just make sure they take home and get them planted inside the brain to help the ego tame it?
Absolutely. I've been thinking a lot lately about, there's a scripture that says, I will give you the desires of your heart. And that had been just running through my head, because I knew there was something about that I really wanted to glean more of. And I think as a kid, or maybe in my 20s, I thought that means I can have anything I want, right? And recently Spirit revealed to me that what that really means is, I, God, creator, universe, am the one that gave you the desire. And if that desire has been planted in your heart, and we can believe that we know it's a done deal, because the creator would not lie to me. The creator would not put false hope in me, and is the same today, tomorrow, and forever. So what I really like to teach people is, if we can recognize that if there's something in your heart that wants to be brought forth, in spirit, it's already done. All we have to do is get out of the way and come into the celebration of it.
Get out of the way and come to celebrate it because it's already done if it's in your heart. I take that one to heart. Thank you, Jen. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Whether you're watching us live or in replay, we appreciate you and we send you our blessings and our heartfelt thanks for taking time with us here today. And please stop back again for the next episode of the Inspirational Entrepreneur Spotlight interview. Thanks so much, Jen. And bye-bye for now, everyone.
Bye.